Welcome to the Wingley Update. Name to be decided. Forget everything you know about programming language for the cloud. Now, welcome your host, Eyal Keren.
Action! Hi everybody, and welcome to the Wingley Update. It used to be named TBD. I'm not sure what's named TBD.
I think the marketing department.
I kind
The
of
marketing department deleted the TBD.
I kind of like the name when it was with the TBD. Now when it's not with the TBD, that's the final name. I mean, I'm not sure about the name. So welcome to the Wingley Update.
So it's still TBD basically.
I know. It's I'm saying Wingley Update, but
I like the name.
you like the name? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. It kind of sounds like it's a weekly thing, but we're doing this once or 2 weeks.
That's what I told you when you suggested it. It was like, it's not about the fact that it's weekly.
And what did I tell you also?
It's TBD.
And it says TBD at the end. So I done my job. When you told me this, I thought it doesn't indicate that it's a weekly, but then Sabo said, oh, nice, it's a weekly thing. And then I kind of figured out maybe I was wrong. I mean, if two people tell you you're wrong, then you're wrong, basically. Yeah. So
The fifth show.
the fifth show. I don't like counting them.
Why? I love it. I love counting them.
No, I mean it's you don't see Seinfeld starts and says this is the 20th. Maybe they do. They do say.
Well, we're not trying to be Seinfeld.
You're not trying to be Seinfeld. Maybe I'm trying to be.
Maybe you're trying to be
Yeah,
Seinfeld.
no, yeah. So the fifth show of the Wingley Update, and we have you're gonna do this with me today. That's fun, and we're gonna. There's a lot going on in Wing right now.
Yeah, we had it was kind of like a lot of very big features and things were kind of gotten ready and released together. So
Right. A lot of them were in the making for quite some
Yeah.
time.
It's like
you
one
didn't know-
sprint, two
Yeah,
sprints.
Yeah, and then you don't know what's happening, and then when it's
Yeah, and then it's like a big capability that comes in. It's
Yeah.
like
as,
everywhere.
as engineers, we don't like that. We don't like 3 weeks or maybe 6 weeks of not seeing something and then seeing it because we believe in small kind of incremental engineering
Yeah.
steps. But sometimes,
Yeah, no, and I think there were many small incremental steps
okay,
between the two.
in order to get to that.
No, and also between, anyway, I
Yeah.
think it's really, it's fun and it was unexpected in a sense, like we didn't.
Yeah. There's
So we're very good with the planning.
yeah, and there's also the console.
Definitely one of those features.
One of those things that kind of we had working with designers, working with the team. The team was experimenting with different layouts, and they finally got it out. And it's it's out. And it's
I agree.
interesting.
I agree. It was. I think it's a project we started since we started the work on the console. Is like, okay, how are we gonna visualize a cloud application? It was a big design question. And we've been kind of working at it at different levels of focus.
Yeah. In the beginning, we had to also lay down the technical foundation for the console and the interaction with the simulator.
Yeah. So we basically chose something that's kind of like, okay, it's good enough for now.
Right.
And I think it was really good enough.
Right.
And then we started working with a design agency.
Right.
And Christian, who we'll
Yeah.
talk to, did some research and came up with some really interesting directions that we didn't really expect. I didn't expect fully. I was like, kind of like hoped that we will figure out something like that, but I wasn't fully sure. I thought that we might need to do some more experimentation in the sense, like some more kind of trying things out. And then at some point we were contemplating whether to go with this new direction. And the incremental step on the direction and the other option.
Right.
And so it was an interesting meeting.
Really interesting meeting. So it was a really interesting meeting. We might turn out to we're going to experiment with this thing a lot.
Yeah,
This
still.
we didn't find the cue, and now
Yeah.
it's but yeah. So how did you know Christian? We're gonna have Christian in this show today. Maybe I should say in this show today we're gonna have Elad with us. we're gonna talk a little bit right now, and then we're gonna
We talk more.
talk more with Christian. He's gonna show us the console and talk about that. Then we're gonna have Mark the DJ, of course, live.
Oh, live.
yeah,
That's
live.
nice.
Yeah.
I prefer live.
Yeah, he won't be live.
Oh, he's live.
No, maybe he will be live. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if he's available, we can
Yeah.
bring him up.
Yeah. That's gonna be funny. So we're gonna have him live, and then we're gonna talk. We're gonna write some code together.
Right.
When I say together, I mean you're gonna write some code. I'm gonna make some comments, maybe fun comments. So how did you get to know Christian?
He popped up in Progen, actually.
In Progen.
I'm looking at the screen because he's online. So.
Yeah.
And basically, he was contributing to Progen a little bit. And I didn't know him, but I feel like I've already gotten to the point where my subconscious is kind of constantly processing small signals from GitHub and like working with the community.
Interesting.
And like, so even if you don't have like this like intentionally, even if you don't have like a very deep relationship with someone who's contributing to your project,
You get the vibe.
you get some vibe like in the back
cues.
of your mind.
You feel the cues.
Yeah, like you create some mental image even subconsciously. And one of the things that Christian did that I do remember was that I was looking for a logo for Progen.
Okay.
And his girlfriend drew a logo, and he gave it to the project,
Nice.
contributed it to the project, and that became like the Progen logo.
Wow. Awesome. Nice.
And then when we started Monada, I was kind of thinking, again, quite intuitively, kind of going over like the projects that I've been
yeah.
and reaching out to people. And when first talked to Christian, it was really excited to, because I didn't know anything about him really.
Yeah. I was sitting next to him when he was in Israel. So we're going to talk with you in a second, Christian. I was sitting next to him when he was in Israel. And he was working on problems, and he's a fun guy to solve problems with. I can tell you that. Let's bring him online.
Yeah.
Christian, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.
So
Can you guys hear Christian?
great.
Great.
So where are you located, Christian?
I'm in Barcelona.
Right, a man from Barcelona.
Yeah, Spain.
Man from Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona, Spain. Awesome. One of my favorite cities. Basically, what are you here to tell us? What are you here to tell us today?
So I'm on the console team. So guess what? I'm going to talk about the console.
Right. And what do you do? Tell us a little bit about the technology of the console, maybe?
No, before the technology, what is the console?
What is the console? Okay, that's a good question.
Right. Well, the console is basically a graphical interface for your application. With the console, you will be able to see and interact with the application you're building with Wing.
Okay.
And I guess it will be more clear when I show you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. And what's the what's the technology behind the consoles? So we understand.
Well, we are using Electron for the application. We're using React as well, so it's like a browser-based technology.
Awesome. Great.
So it's basically built as a web application. There's a backend, there's a front end, and it runs on the local machine as inside the.
Awesome. Great. And you basically you're a full stack developer. You know how to do both front end, back end, DevOps,
Sideways.
I mean, basically
Yeah,
everything.
I do everything. Although based on this story, how I met Elad, it may seem that I don't do anything. It's just my girlfriend knows how to do an icon.
That's what
No,
that was kind of like my experience was that there was something very specific that I remember that happened, and there was some kind of a subconscious
aspect to it. Yeah. I don't know how to say this in English. In Hebrew, there's shlach lechmecha.
Yeah.
So when you do something good, you send the bread on the water, and you don't know when you're doing this
Right.
that one time the bread's going to be back. I mean, and that's that's kind of
Yeah.
maybe that's what you picked up. Basically,
Yeah.
someone sent you bread to the project.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
So come on, Christian, show us what. I mean, we already know what's in the console.
But now we know Kristen for how long? How long have you been working with us?
Oh,
Almost a year? Not
Almost a year.
Not quite a
No,
year,
maybe
but
a little less.
been
A
few
little
months.
less.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we know Kristen a lot.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. And I'm like, oh my god, my subconscious was like
Spot on.
spot on.
Yeah, exactly. He's amazing. Takes responsibilities. I really like, and a lot of the work that we're going to see today is of course it's teamwork, but you were living in it. So especially the map view. So
The map.
map, no, not good, not a good
You're
translation.
spoiling.
Map.
Go ahead. Okay.
So go ahead, man. Show us what you
Okay.
got.
So, okay, I will share my screen. Please let me know if everything is right. Yeah, you can see yourself, right?
We can see ourselves a couple of times. Yeah, I don't know if that's
Okay.
right.
Desired.
Yeah. All right. So for this demonstration,
You can see
I
like
will
the
use
skin.
already-
That's someone dead over there.
What?
No,
Okay,
very
we're
good.
with you.
Very good.
All right. Okay. So for this demonstration,
Let's talk about your font.
all right. I forgot to change it to something more. normal.
What's the name of the font?
This is Operator Mono. It's a paid font. It got
Paid
very popular on the PHP Laravel world, as far as I know, and I quite like it a lot.
Oh, for PHP,
don't
that's
know.
how I recognize the in-flight. You said PHP?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah, that's where I recognize the curly stuff. It was in PHP, right? Wow.
well, it got popular in the world of PHP and Laravel.
Okay.
Towards
Oh, Laravel, no, it's too old.
Yeah, I was like present in some YouTube videos. You could see it in screenshots, and I like it a lot, so I got it.
You know the Daniel,
Yeah.
the guy who designed like the logo for Monado.
Yeah.
He's a font designer,
Right.
and he can't wait to like build a font for Wing.
Really interesting. Yeah.
So maybe
You can work with Christian on it.
yeah, Kristen can be
Yeah.
can provide some feedback.
Awesome.
Sure. All right. Anyways, we're going to use a very simple program. As you can see in this Win file, I'm just creating a bucket for storage, a queue for messages, and then a function, an in-flight function that will be executed for every queue message. And this function will just create a file on the bucket, will create the same file, and the contents of the file will be based on the message it receives.
Yep.
Right.
So
pretty
basically, you
simple.
put something in the queue, and it becomes a file in the bucket.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So now,
Oh,
since
Dino.
I have
Dino.
installed Wing
It writes the
globally,
same file to the bucket.
yeah. So I have Wing installed globally and also the console installed. So I'm able to launch the console like this with the wingate command.
Okay.
So let's go ahead.
Infamous wingate command.
Or wing run.
Or wing run that is going to be like people who
Yeah. Only few people will know.
only
it.
for people.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. This is basically the console. On the left side, we've
Can you
got
increase the font a little
alert.
bit? A little bit
Oh,
increase
sure.
the font?
Yes. Is it
Great.
okay like this?
Yeah.
For me, it's much better. Are you guys able to see it over there? On the panel? Yep. Awesome.
Okay. So yeah, on this place here, there's the hierarchical tree of your application. It's a tree of the constructs that we created, the bucket, the queue, and the handler, the in-flight function. you can see that there are other nodes that we didn't create them. These nodes, we're going to hide them eventually, but they are necessary internally for the Wing SDK to work. But to us in the console, they are just noise. So yeah, in the future, we are getting rid of this.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Start with an apology.
Yeah.
Yes. So in the middle, we got what we call the map view of the application, which is again all the resources in a hierarchical way, but we also include the relationships between them. So as you can see, if
So nice.
I select a node, it will highlight the connections pretty much.
So in this example where you put the cursor on the cloud queue, you're able to see the connection from the cloud queue to the function that, or the in-flight function that gets triggered by that it triggers basically the on message in-flight function. Right?
Yeah. So it's worth mentioning that this is all automatically generated from the
code.
Structure of your Wing program.
Yeah.
And the console is able to reflect on that structure using constructs, and then
Right. Yeah.
I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Although there's still many things that we want to improve, like displaying what is the name of this connection.
Right.
We know that the queue is invoking the function on message.
Right.
So maybe at some point we will add that text here. And same for the function. It just calls the put method on the bucket.
Right.
So at some point you will be able to see that.
So it's actually pretty close. It's the thing that I'm working on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
We can talk about this a little bit later.
At this point, you may have noticed the widgets on the right. This is what we call the metadata panel, but the name is work in progress.
Sounds like you're not happy with it.
It's all work in progress still,
Okay.
I think. But yeah,
I like it when you say it's work in progress.
Yeah.
Right. Not because I think I actually quite like it, but I like the fact that you're not that you feel that it's already there's more work.
Yeah, it's early. It's still early. There's I know there's many things that we can think of and we can improve. So yeah. Well, basically, this widget here, it will show you information about the node that you have currently selected. So in the case of the bucket, we can see basic information here. We can see specific properties of the bucket.
Nice.
By default, buckets are not public.
Nice.
We can also see, again, the relationships, but this time in a list. You can use it to navigate between the map as well. So
this is where some of that information that we talked about earlier will appear. So the relationships between resources and in-flights calling other resources and their...
And as you notice, when he selects it on the right side, it gets activated all over on the.
It's beautiful.
Great.
And the most interesting part is the interact panel here. With this section here, we will be able to do things with the bucket. It also displays the files in the bucket, but right now there's none. So I will just upload a file here.
Interesting.
I will
never done this.
Me too.
I will do inception here. I will just upload the file we're using to run this application.
Oh my god! I never uploaded the file. Nice.
Right. So yeah, here it is. We can download it, delete it. If I had some more files with folders, I should be able to navigate with them. Again, this is still a work in progress. There's many things we can improve here, but you get the glimpse of it.
But quick question, the technical question. So do we have a cloud bucket here? And this is basically interacting with the simulator. So when you were clicking upload, you're basically in behind the scene where the console calling bucket.put. I mean the kind of the
Yes.
the public API. Okay, great. So that's great.
That's very cool.
So we're in in-flight, right?
We're in in-flight,
We're
yeah.
in in-flight right now. This is the other tabs here. The bucket and the relationship kind of show the pre-flight infrastructure information, whether the bucket is public.
Yeah.
And now,
This is an infrastructure view of your application.
yeah.
And you can interact with it through its in-flight API. And the
Nice.
console is doing that. And obviously it can also, for example, execute a Lambda function or add a message to the queue and then trigger. Like if you do that, it'll trigger a workflow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You
In
wanna try
fact,
and do it?
I'm going to invoke this function here.
I would invoke it from the queue, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
add something to the queue and
add
it
a
should,
message to the queue instead of.
Yeah, sure. That was going to be my third step.
Okay.
He's
okay.
like slowly building up for the
Okay,
end to end.
nice. I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
The interact here is just different, right? We can invoke the function with this button. We can set the payload we want to pass the function here. Right now, it's just a plain text, although it expects a JSON. And in this case, it expects a very specific JSON. We will get rid of this in
You know what we could do?
in the future because it doesn't feel right. But this string here is what will actually end up in the in-flight here. So
Okay.
I will just say invoke test, for example.
So you had a technical idea. Elad had a technical idea.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell me.
the payload, for example, for Lambda functions is currently a string,
Right.
but eventually it's going to be a struct, right? Like you can
it.
define a struct.
Love it. So you're gonna have this thing will basically show you the struct
Structure,
because struct is
and there's going to be JSON schema that it automatically generates, right? Because
Yeah.
every
Connection.
struct in Wing has a JSON schema.
yeah. So it can show you that. I mean, you can
You
easily
can validate it. You
right,
can make
once,
it
right. Once you have a schema, well, you can even show the right UI for it.
right.
Awesome. Great.
So now that I have invoked the function, we can see that the hello.txt, this file has been created.
Right.
And I will just download it just to make sure that everything is working. Yes, hello, invoke test.
Great.
Hello,
Awesome.
invoke test. Yes. So now I'm going to send a message to the queue just to prove
Why-
that everything works.
Delete the file first.
Why
Delete the
did
file
you?
first.
He deleted. Yeah. Okay. Did you? Okay.
I
Did you
deleted the
delete?
file, yeah, because it will be, I will download
Oh.
it again.
No, he deleted
Oh.
from the downloaded. He
No,
didn't
but
delete-
delete it from the bucket.
he's not going to delete this from
Why?
the bucket because delete
No.
doesn't work, right?
No. I downloaded it to my system.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you choose, you have delete here.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Can you use it?
It doesn't work right now.
I don't think.
It doesn't work. That's
No, that's why he was.
he was avoiding
I was noticing that he's avoiding this, and delete the file. Yeah, so delete doesn't work. Also, multi-select doesn't work.
Okay.
But
Fair enough.
Yeah, but this is things that are on our plate, as you say. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Yeah.
good. It's good. We know it's not. We all know it.
It will work. So.
Yeah.
It will work at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna override. We're gonna override the
I'm
file.
sure- no,
Who
I'm-
needs to delete the file? Let's override the file.
It's awesome.
Yes, exactly. And we will see. Here the interact form is just a message. It expects a string, so I can safely take this string here from queue.
Maybe from the weekly
And,
update. Okay, and then we have a message sent.
Yeah,
event.
so we know that the queue sent a message to the function, and now this hello file, it will have a different message in it, right?
That's
Hello from queue.
Yeah, nice.
Can you show the traces?
Yes. You're always ahead of what I'm going to do.
It's good. It's good.
Which is
Which
it's fine,
makes
because
sense.
I was going
It's
to mention
basically
that right now.
yeah
Basically
how I
kind
would
of,
approach the
Yeah, it confirms that the script is well written.
yeah. Although I would start with the end to end.
Okay. Okay.
Just saying. And then not fall into the delete trap.
What an amateur move. Okay.
So this widget at the bottom is where the logs and the events will show. By default, the events are hidden. If you enable the verbose filter, you will be able to see the message. The events that happened during our test. All the lists of the packet, the puts, the invocations, even the message sending, etc.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that the plan here is to integrate with OpenTelemetry.
Right.
And basically instrument the application automatically and use OpenTelemetry to report all of those traces and also include some visualization for those traces, maybe on the map.
Right. So we're going to have OpenTelemetry kind of provides kind of a language for different log distribution systems to talk on the same language, basically. So trace ID is one of them, and spans is the other one. And we should be seeing the traces, and you'll be able to go over a trace and kind of follow it in the map itself. So you can debug this kind of with a time machine or with the flow. Yeah.
It's going to be
incredible.
So incredible.
Yeah, and then when you deploy this to production, you select if you want this to be running on Datadog, on New Relic, or any OpenTelemetry provider, and they all adhere to those.
Yep. Amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. I think tracing is very powerful, and being able to see the traces locally, it's going to be a really good feature.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
Well, I wanted to show
the recorder and
to be honest, the kind of when you need to fix something in Datadog, you wanna fix something in how Datadog's present. You wanna make sure this is inside the span. You have to deploy this to staging and to run this, and it's and you make a mistake because it's logs, and you have to do this again.
Yeah.
The ability to take all that experience back to the local host.
Yes.
And
use the same tools that you can use for production. So it's not like if you get used to using traces in the host,
exactly,
in the local console, then
the power is
you understand how to debug the system in production.
Right. Exactly.
It's an interesting point. We've never really
we've
never discussed this.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Interesting. Go ahead, Christian.
All right.
Okay, I'm back.
I was going to show the logs.
Awesome.
Because if you didn't know, you can put print statements in your info functions. And when they get executed, they will appear here. So that's what I'm going to do.
Great.
Also, you will be able to see the reloading of the console.
Nice.
Because when you open a file with the console, it will listen to the changes. And whenever the application changes, it will reload everything.
Right.
So, okay, thanks, Copilot.
Oh, nice. Hello, Messi.
Wow. Yeah. Copilot in Wing?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. So this is in JavaScript. Words is basically a console log, although these messages will appear here. I will also do a fancy change. I will start making different file names just to see something different.
I love that. I wanted to suggest it earlier.
Oh yeah. But
suggestions
again,
you and your suggestions.
Yes.
Okay, so the application is reloaded again. One thing to know.
I love how fast it is.
Yeah.
It's like my computer is not that fast, I have to say.
Really?
But
we can make it faster, although. But yeah.
It's crazy. Like I'm thinking in normal development, I use TypeScript.
Right.
And I have my editor running with some TypeScript watch,
Yep.
and I have, maybe I want to run Jest, right? Like I'm not even talking about cloud development. I'm talking about just
Yeah.
tool chain.
Okay.
And so maybe I want to run Jest on one side and compile my TypeScript on the other side. And so I need to set up my TypeScript compiler to watch and then Jest to watch. And obviously there's a way to do it without compiling to TypeScript, but you always forget and you're to reconfigure your project, even if you're using Progen.
Really. Yeah.
And this is just, I wrote a text file. I didn't even compile. I didn't run any watch.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing the console at it, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm changing the code, and the console is updated. That's it. I don't know about compiling, and there's a compiler running in the background. There's stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I thought about this also from a very kind of from my point of view because I've grown some time apart from writing software. So when I start writing software, I need to kind of what tools should I use? This watch thing. I need to kind of gather a lot of things together, and I'm very rusty with that. So Wing is very easy for me, and from this perspective, because I mean, I'm
batteries
I'm
included.
one of the best
included.
programmers in the world in Wing right now. let's acknowledge that.
Christian definitely.
Maybe he's better, but there's only about 20 something like that. I'm one of the best.
One of the best.
One of the best programmers in Wing. Right? I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Christian.
You probably continue to be one of the best programmers in Wing.
So one thing to note after a reload is that we reset the whole state of the application. Okay. Maybe at some point we don't do that. Maybe we keep the state. I don't know. This is what we're doing now.
Right. So the cloud bucket, the bucket got empty because the code got reloaded.
Yeah. So the state is in memory, basically.
Yeah.
The state is in memory.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So then, I will just send a new message to the queue. And when I do that, we will see the prints on the console, and we will also be able to see the different files in the bucket. So I will just start 2 or 3 messages. Hello, Wing. So here they are.
Oh, nice.
The prints here, and the different files here.
Great. So we're able to see the logs. We don't have the traces yet, but we're able to see the log, and we're able to see what's instance.
Amazing.
This example,
Amazing.
Yeah.
This is
cloud
the
function.
This is the most you can do, like seeing all the events that happened, but there's no tracing in it. But yeah, we will work on that.
It shouldn't be the type. It should be the instance.
Right.
Okay.
And feature-wise, that's basically it. That's what the console allows you to do.
And
when we code later, we'll play with the console more.
Right. We're going to see this kind of how it works with complex resources. Right now we have kind of a floating queue and a floating bucket on the root. Probably want to put this somewhere. Awesome. Anything else, Christian, on your list, on your script? Something that Elad maybe didn't...
one thing that I wanted to say is that I feel like we're still in the stage where we need to prove to people that this is also working on the cloud. I mean, I wouldn't challenge you to do it right now because we'll do it later. We'll do it with the task list.
Okay.
But it's interesting, right? Like I feel like it's something that we don't even fully trust in a sense.
Because we don't have the right tests for that.
Okay.
That's why I don't trust it right now. If I had a test that would check that it runs on the cloud, then I would know it runs on the cloud.
So
automated test. It's on our
So that's the plane.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to trust something that it's not automated tested.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that's why I wanted to bring that up because I feel like we have this motto.
Yeah. Guaranteed to work.
Guaranteed to work.
Yeah. If it works on your local host, no, that's. I mean, we're laughing, but this is
this is a serious business.
This is a serious commitment that we're doing.
Yes.
And we're not doing it yet, but once we guarantee that something works on that.
It works on my machine.
On my machine, it should work on the cloud.
Yes.
It's a meme that we will destroy
Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll fuck up,
Yeah.
but we have a plan to be intentional about it by testing, by actually creating like a pretty large testing operation to make sure that everything that we do works on all the providers and
Yeah. Like any professional engineering team, we're gonna have tests. We're gonna have
reports.
issues. We're gonna have retros. We're gonna tell what we've done wrong. We're gonna tell how we plan to fix this, and we'll go out. I mean, it's all about trust, right?
But it's a big it's a big part of how, you know, where we think the value of something like Wing is, and so this is where we think we can also create value by, you know, taking work from engineers, basically. Instead of everyone having to test these applications across providers, we're testing the resources. We're making sure that the resources adhere to the certain contracts across all the providers, and it's going to be really fun and interesting because I feel like it's there's a lot of value baked in this hard work.
Right. But from a console perspective, the cloud is also interesting. When we talked about that interact, the fact that the upload interacts with the in-flight API of the bucket, it means that it's not tied into the simulator implementation. So it's tied into the interface of the Wing bucket. So kind of potentially this can go into a staging environment or any other environments on the cloud, and you can interact with your cloud.
That's definitely the long-term plan for the console is to allow you to connect to your cloud applications in production. And,
long term, but
I don't know. I mean, I feel at some point very not long, less longer than you think. I think.
Yeah, I think that's where we don't. It's not. I don't know when, but I mean, right now I want to focus that the console is the mechanism to bring back the flow. To allow kind of local host development, fast iteration, testing. We're gonna have testing baked somewhere inside of this thing. Everything's it's gonna be your ID companion, basically.
Correct.
Right. Awesome. Christian, thank you for this excellent discussion and thank you for this amazing work. It's been a delight seeing you work on this and kind of playing with the different options, getting the feedback and the excitement that you bring to the story, because this is an important piece of the puzzle, and we both feel that we're in great hands. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Okay.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. So at one point, this show was called Old Developer Barking on the Cloud.
Oh, right.
On the cloud. What was that?
Who made that?
That was Sepp.
Oh, Sepp.
The guy behind Bring.
Sepp.
I mean,
the guy behind Bring.
The guy behind Bring. Yeah. So
totally.
Let's close this thing. I can see myself here. So first of all, it's fun having you here. I like this experience.
I was actually thinking next time I'm gonna.
Okay, that's what you.
Next time it's. There's something fun about like coming and going. I understand how it's not easy to actually just like stay here all throughout the.
Okay, interesting. So
maybe
next time I'll come and go.
Yeah,
okay, awesome.
Maybe you can do a little break.
Awesome, great. But now we'll both take a break because now we have. Can you guess?
Mark the DJ.
Mark the DJ live joining us on the video. How you doing, Mark?
Thanks, Eyal. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is pre-recorded. I know there's special effects that's fooling you, but I recorded this before the live show, which means that I get a freedom to be completely tonally inconsistent with whatever's happening before and after the thing I say. I take that freedom seriously. That means I can just kind of like a song and play whatever I want. It's very freeing, and I respect the choice that we're all accepting that I'm going to do that. So here's a song that I like that hopefully doesn't just completely thrash whatever vibe is going on. Here's 5 Ways by Shakewell.
Thank you, Mark, for this recorded session. And
so we can bring him up at some point.
Yeah, of course we're going to bring him up. I mean,
we can bring him up today.
Today? I mean,
he said he's live. Let's check on him.
Okay. So
I'm off script. I'm off script.
off script. We have those 5 topics that we have to talk about. Okay?
Okay. Mark.
You're off the grid. He's off the grid.
Mark says that he's dead.
He's dead.
Okay.
He's not into that. Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Go ahead.
So we're back.
So what are we doing?
So
We're coding.
so
that
yeah.
would be much easier.
yeah, exactly. So we're coding. We need to cover a bunch of topics.
Okay.
But what you're gonna show us basically?
We were thinking to code the task list,
The task list.
which was our theme in a sense for the last 3 stories.
Right. Why did we? Can you explain the narrative for going over the task list? Why have we? Picked
So we
this?
basically picked an application.
Yeah.
That's like slightly less trivial than Hello World.
Right.
And you started writing these stories that take this task list and slowly evolve it as
Yeah.
if you're writing a program, right? Like this
Right.
is somewhat an evolution that every program that programs go through. You start
Right.
with some design and then you add additional features and you make it object oriented and you add an API, and so it's basically a whole kind of design exercise.
Right.
And we're designing it based on the capabilities that we have in Wing.
Right. And from a story writing perspective, it's also kind of a lazy, good. I mean lazy in an easy way. I mean, I have this task list narrative. We understand this. People can just go. This is what we're doing. This is the task list right now. I know where I'm going. We know that we not want the API gateway. We need a database behind it. So it's and then we can just kind of write a task list over a task list until we kind of find that end goal.
Until we're tired of task lists,
Yes.
and then we can,
Yes.
because we can basically go on with the task list
Forever. We can have identity. I mean, you can have everything.
a website.
Yeah, invite friends. An invite, and oh my God. Notifications. I mean, actually, wow, you can do a lot with a task list.
Let's do it.
I'm not sure. I mean,
it's canonical for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it's gonna evolve. You can evolve it over time. The task list. Okay, let's try to take that challenge.
Let's
see
try. If we'll have fun with it. Like otherwise, we'll just figure out something new.
So we're gonna write some code. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is, by the way, the stories. They're on the website. There's it's a little buried under the contributing RFC's user story. We should
Right.
probably move it to contributing user stories.
Okay.
And it's under the contributing section because this is our planning document. So some of them are done, like you see status done, and some of them are expected. And eventually this is kind of like the roadmap for the project.
Yeah, you could go over this and basically kind of understand the narrative of this project right now. Yeah. That's a nice
High end.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to build the task list and we see how it goes. And I'm not going to try and copy it from the example. We'll just do it together.
Okay,
I'm
let's
sure
do
it's
it.
going to turn out exactly like the example.
Yeah. I mean,
Because we did the same exercise.
Yeah, and there's limited stuff that you could still do with
But
Wing.
let's see.
With Wing.
I don't
Let's
know.
see. You want to challenge that?
I wanna.
You're gonna-
We can do more than you.
Let's see. No.
We can do more
Yeah.
than we expect.
Yeah. Should
That's
we
what I-
should you go full screen or
No, I want to go.
you want to have the?
Let's close this.
Okay, great.
This is gonna be here,
And then wing it somewhere.
and then I'm gonna wing it. And
No,
yeah, I'm like
you need
warming.
a file name.
Wait, I don't.
Oh, you're gonna open the file name from the task list. You're gonna...
Someone.
Oh, right. It's gonna automatically select the folder. Right, from the folder, it's gonna automatically select.
It's like someone contributed this. I can't remember their name, but
Yeah.
one of the first contributions.
Yeah, and probably Revita right now is clicking on the keyboard, saying the name, shouting, you sending me WhatsApp messages.
Okay, so this application is empty. It doesn't have anything. This is it like right now.
Right.
And we're gonna start building it. So let's see. Ring Cloud,
Awesome.
still empty.
Right.
Okay, so how are we gonna store the tasks? In a bucket.
In a bucket.
That's the only thing we can use to store things
Right.
right now. Okay, so bucket, tasks, bucket.
Great.
Okay.
And on the right side, we're seeing a bucket
A
inside the
bucket
root folder.
is born.
Yeah. Hello, bucket.
Should we use resources from the beginning? Yeah, let's use resources. I would probably start with a resource.
Yeah, let's do it. So a resource, what's a resource? Let's
A
say,
resource.
What is a resource?
A resource is Wing's composable unit. And it's actually, it's a construct.
Right.
It's a class. It's in a sense a construct and a class together because it has like the in-flight side, and constructs don't have in-flights.
When you say construct, you mean the CDK construct.
The CDK
Not
construct.
everybody was born
Okay.
in CDK. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk without talking about constructs. Okay.
Okay.
You
let's
like
try.
this?
I will
It's
try.
easy. It's easy. But basically, Wing has like any programming language. One of the most powerful things in a programming language is composability. Right.
Right.
It's the ability to like. And a function is the basic unit of composition in like programming.
Okay.
Some would say monad.
Monad, yeah. Of course. Some would. Then the other one would say, what? No one knows what it is. The name of the company is Monada. It's a private joke, probably, right? So
Now it is.
yeah, so a function. Okay.
Okay, so yeah. So basically a function is a composability unit. And you can take two functions and you can create a third function, right? That abstracts those two
Okay.
functions.
Okay.
That's the essence of composability in programming.
in programming. Functions.
Functions.
Okay, but-
it's the basic unit, right? Like,
Right.
It's a composable unit, right? I don't have to. You understand how to compose it.
Right.
There's a way to take two functions, and of course, there's like a formal definition of what composability is. I don't remember it. And classes are
Okay.
composable units in object-oriented programming.
Right.
And so you can take multiple classes and use them within another class, and so that class becomes an abstraction, right? And you
Right.
can work with that abstraction, and you don't care about the implementation details.
Right.
And resources are composability units in Wing.
Right.
And the reason those are not classes is that they represent more than just in-memory state. They actually represent a physical object in reality. A bucket, for example, or a function.
It's even more than a state. I wouldn't say they represent an infrastructure component.
Yeah, an infrastructure component is a sort of state, right? Is a state in a system.
Yeah, but when you say state, I think about the data
No,
that the bucket contains. But
I talk about state as desired state,
Right,
right?
right.
And
Okay.
infrastructure.
Okay,
About
okay.
when you're talking about infrastructure state,
Great. I understand.
so it's state, right?
Right,
Like,
right. Yeah.
And so they're not really classes. They have some interesting properties that we're not going to talk about right now.
Right.
Because I feel like we're still exploring them. I feel like I don't know, maybe eventually resources are going to be something like resource, a modifier, right? Like something like that.
Got it. I see. Basically means that this class foo
Is a resource class.
Also represents.
It's a resource class.
Yep.
It's not just a regular class.
Right. Okay. But right now we don't have the syntax.
But
we
right
have
now the syntax is like this.
resource foo. Yeah.
And so
that
now,
foo
so this
will be-
resource is going to be the task list, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. And so think about resources as classes.
Yeah.
Each class has a constructor. It has a bunch of methods. It has fields. It would have properties,
Right.
etc. And so let's take this tasks bucket and put it inside the task list. And we actually don't have this let here, but I actually think we need to.
Okay.
Well, we actually had some interesting conversation.
Yeah. I mean,
Not seen the.
don't put the parentheses.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
So you just need the declaration.
Right. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to create.
Great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank God. Oh my God. So this
Is
is
it possible for this red thing to be less?
no, we don't need the init to be mandatory.
I know. That's about. Okay. So now I'm going to create a tasks bucket here inside. Okay. Let's just call it bucket. Okay.
B, I would call it B.
Call it B.
Yeah.
Cloud bucket. I also have a nice font, right?
Yeah. Really nice font. I'm not that.
You're not into fonts.
I'm not. No.
Okay,
not really.
but now I don't have any resources.
Okay, so what happened? Before we had a bucket, now we don't have a bucket, but you're calling new on the bucket. What happened? So why don't we see the task list?
Because
Why
we
don't-
haven't created an instance.
Okay,
of it.
we
We
haven't-
haven't defined the task list. We
Great.
just defined declared the type.
Great. So
So now I just need to do new task list.
great. So now inside the root, we're going to have a task list, and that task list will have a bucket inside of it. So
Yes.
which is
nice.
amazing. When you look at
Fucking
the
amazing.
bucket here, I mean, the path has the task list in the path. So this is a unique address for that specific instance, right?
Correct.
Right.
And you can see the tree here.
Right.
And I can create two task lists.
Let's create two task
I
lists.
can do T1 and T2.
Yep. Now it's T1 and T2. Yep.
And inside each one, there's a bucket.
Right.
Okay, cool. So now we have a task
task
list resource. And the next thing is to define the API for the task list.
Right.
And so one of the unique capabilities of Wing is this concept we call in-flights, right? Is this ability to interact with the world when the application is deployed. And so you can actually write your Lambda functions, and when you write your Lambda functions, you provide an in-flight closure, which is a block of code that gets bundled and shipped to the cloud
Right.
and then executed. And those in-flight closures can interact with the world through what we call in-flight APIs.
Yep.
And so every resource in Wing has both a pre-flight API,
Right.
like init,
Init.
for example. This init thing, and this bucket thing is also on the pre-flight, because it's on the infrastructure side.
Right.
And there's an in-flight API, which is the API that you can use to interact with this resource when your application is actually running.
Right.
So think about it. A bucket has put and get are in-flight methods of a bucket.
Right.
And they don't exist in the pre-flight scope. So if I do here this.b.put, it'll tell me cannot call into in-flight phase while pre-flight.
Right.
Perfect. Very nice.
Right. But then it says the expected. I wouldn't expect it to say the expected. I think that's
It's true. That's
that's
a different error.
Yeah.
Because it's actually,
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Oh, it's a different error.
Yeah.
No, but that's I wouldn't give that error.
the blue screen.
Blue
of
screen
death.
of death. Yeah. So I'm doing blue screen of death. Yes, thank you. We covered blue screen of death. But
By the way, we had this blue screen of death in the meeting we had before the.
Oh, yeah, I was in. Yeah,
And it wasn't make me feeling nice, right? To
Okay.
get this blue screen of death in the middle of a demo for investors.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, I understand why.
I'm actually reconsidering it. Anyway, let's continue.
It's interesting. Once we're going to work with this, we'll know. I mean, I'm not sure that the right place to kind of determine it is with the meeting with
investors.
With investors, yeah. Maybe when you're working. I mean, not a lot of developers. Kind of, it's not a common.
That's a very common
use case for them. As a developer,
But when you're showing a demo, right?
Yeah, when you're showing a demo.
You're showing a demo.
Right,
It's like
right.
not a nice look.
right. Okay.
It's true, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the API for a task list? I feel like we need to hurry, no?
Yeah. So we user define. Yeah. We're good. We're good.
Add task,
Right.
as one. So now we're going to create an add task, and we're going to give it a title, but we'll use the in-flight modifier
Right.
to indicate that it's an in-flight API.
Yeah. So now this is the add task is the in-flight method of the task list.
Yes.
And then in this function, because it has in-flight, you could say this.b.put because
Exactly.
we're in in-flight.
Now I'm in in-flight, so I can interact with B through its in-flight API. So it's extremely intuitive, I feel,
Right.
but it's actually really complicated what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Because this bucket, for example, it has two APIs.
Right.
Like I'm not familiar with a situation where an object-oriented object, right, like a classic class,
Yep.
has two different APIs in different contexts.
Yeah. I don't know.
The only analogy I think I can think of is like async code, right? Like technically async code can only call not can only call async code, but you can call
sync code.
You can't call async code from sync.
sync code. Yeah.
So there's some analogy between pre-flight and sync,
Right.
and in-flight and async. And we've
Right.
talked about in-flight as async functions.
Right.
So there's some analogy
Interesting.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do this.b.put and we want to give it a file name.
So what would be the file name?
Just give it a name. I mean, and then we
The
figure it out.
task for the task.
I would just give it just a name. Name.
Okay.
F. Yeah, exactly.
Name.
And the title, right?
But that means that basically we're going to have all the tasks are going to be
Under the same name.
under the same name,
We're
right?
gonna but
Okay, so let's test this.
Let's test this. If we won't test this, we can.
Task list. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a wing test. And the wing test is currently, and I think we're definitely going to make this cleaner,
Yeah.
is a cloud function with the test ID.
We don't need str.str. You don't need the.
No.
Wow. Thank God.
And I actually don't know if it was an intentional,
Okay.
it might be a bug.
Okay. Hello. And now we're gonna see another cloud function here. Oh.
Oh, TL.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now let's zoom out a little bit here. Okay.
Okay, so we see the test.
Right.
This is the test function. And the test function interacts with the bucket through, basically interacts with T1 and talks to the bucket.
Right.
And so now if we execute it, it should create a file in the bucket called name.
Right.
Okay, good. So this is working.
Nice. So you trigger the function. I didn't know this, but you trigger the function and then you saw.
I triggered the function and then
okay.
and we actually talked about maybe adding like a test pane here
Right.
and then all the tests.
Right,
and
right.
everything. Oh,
Amazing.
it's gonna be beautiful. But so we need an ID.
Yeah, right. Right.
Well, what will we do?
So we don't have UUID yet. We don't have bring
Said
untyped
with the-
yet. So and maybe it's
Creative,
a good,
be creative.
yeah. What are you gonna do? I mean, we don't have mass random. We don't have
Yeah.
mass random, right? Are we just gonna?
What
have a
did we
counter?
do with
Are we
the?
just gonna have a counter every time? Okay. Okay.
It's the same counter.
Okay. So let's do the counter. Let's do the counter.
It's the counter from the other task list.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just making a good distributed counter for the ID, and then we're gonna do ID equals task dash this
This dot c dot increment.
like this.
Yep. Exactly.
It'll work.
Yep.
How does it know? Oh, it works for numbers, right?
It works for number.
Task, let's call it. Oh,
Right.
We actually said, let's do it like this. Much nicer. Okay, so it's kind
Okay.
of like a file extension. Okay. Blue screen of death or
Works like a charm.
works like a charm.
I say works like a charm. Great.
Yes.
So we have a
Okay.
counter inside the T1.
Now we have a counter,
the TL,
and
T1.
behind the counter, when you deploy to AWS, there's a DynamoDB table.
Right.
There's an atomic counter.
Right.
There's permissions going on there.
Right. But in the simulator,
And that's okay. It's
yeah.
actually a legitimate, completely legitimate thing
Yeah.
to do in distributed systems, right?
Right.
Like if we want an incrementing counter for the tasks, then we need an atomic counter, a distributed atomic counter.
Right.
And this could work at any scale and actually get incrementally
Right. Every time.
every time. And that's an actually really hard thing to achieve in distributed systems. A global atomic incremental counter is considered a really hard problem in distributed
Yeah.
systems.
We don't need to solve this problem.
We're not
because
solving this
AWS has already with DynamoDB and Redis has solved this. Everybody solved this, but we're giving basically the developer the API, the right API to easily use that solution.
Exactly.
And to
And
use
it's like completely changing the way you think about it.
Yeah, because if I would need if in order to bring a counter, I would have to set up DynamoDB and connect IAM rules and do all that stuff.
I just won't use it.
I
as a
won't.
counter.
I won't
Like,
use a counter. I mean, I would
only
say
when you get to really high scale.
Right.
Then you're like, okay, we fucking have to like break this monolith, and now we
Right.
have two instances of this thing running.
Right.
And now we need to synchronize the counters.
Right.
And it's like, oh shit, what will we do? Right. Like I've been in these situations quite a few times.
right.
And this is mind blowing to me, right?
Right.
Like just being able to like, okay,
Right.
I want an atomic counter, distributed counter.
Yeah, and behind the scene, this is the counter the way it's implemented in our SDK is with TypeScript that called CDKTF But we have the Bring JSII exam. I mean, one of the things that we're doing right now, and I'm taking you away from this for a second to talk a little, just to talk a little bit about Bring JSII, because we're about to unlock a very kind of important capability for people to write resources. Do you mind talking about this a little bit? Without looking at this for a second, just for a second. It's
Irrelated
irrelated to this.
Not connected to the story in any way.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically we're designing Wing to be a JSII language.
Okay.
And that means that we designed the type system of Wing, and we designed the interface for interacting with libraries that will be compatible with JSII.
Right.
And that's, we built JSII in the CDK, and so I feel like it's an amazing technology. I think like it has a lot of power, and I think it already has a lot of power because there's an entire ecosystem of libraries that revolve the CDK for Terraform, AWS CDK, that are all using JSII.
Right.
And so the nice thing about JSII is it's a very simple type system. And so it allows the JSII toolchain to create proxy classes in every programming language that's supported by the toolchain and access these classes. And so it's a very interesting property of a common runtime.
Right. Interesting.
And so we're adopting that runtime.
Right.
And the implications are that Wing libraries are going to be JSII libraries, which means that they're going to be people are going to be able to consume them from every programming language that's supported by JSII. And on the other side, Wing is going to be able to bring any library that is a JSII library into the type system natively with full type support.
Yeah.
Like there's full compatibility between the type systems.
Right. So this is something Chris is working right now, which basically allows us to unlock the ability to import any CDK construct into. So if I want to implement this counter with a different, not with DynamoDB, with something else, I can go to my CDK.
So you are connecting it to this.
Yes, in a way. So I can go to the CDK kind of TF in this example, right? I mean, because we're going to compile this to TF AWS, I'm going to go to the CDK TF ecosystem, and I can pick something from there, and I can basically build my own counter resource that will not use DynamoDB.
Or not use, or just use any provider in the Terraform ecosystem. So you want to use BigQuery, then use the BigQuery provider.
Great. I see.
The idea is, I think it's a really important point, right? Because we're not naive to think that the SDK abstractions are going to be everything that people need in order to build real-world cloud applications. Right? Like it's obviously it might be sufficient initially for a very small subset of applications. And slowly it'll evolve into something that we feel is going to provide support for, 60% or 70% of the needs. And there's always going to be needs, and there's always going to be power in leveraging cloud resources that are not part of the SDK. That's the whole point of the cloud. And so if our system is going to have, if our solution is not going to have native first-class support for the cloud, it's not a cloud programming language.
Right. Of course.
And that's why I'm constantly trying to make sure that we're focused on this use case, because I feel that it's not an escape hatch. It's a primary feature of the programming language. It's this ability to interact with the cloud without mediation, right? Like without an additional, person writing some library in order to be able to use some Terraform resource.
Interesting.
And obviously this Terraform ecosystem is about creating that this surface area. And so
I understand. Yeah.
So basically Bring JSII is going to be, you're going to be able to just basically write something like
we are running out of time, so just let's be cautious about this. I think.
So we can bring...
Running out of time kind of 10 minutes ago.
Okay, so basically bring something like AWS CDK lib, which is the AWS CDK.
Okay.
Sorry. I won't use that example because it's like bringing up more questions.
Okay.
But something like bring TFCDK, I think, and then the AWS provider.
Okay.
And you're going to give it a namespace.
Okay.
And then you're going to be able to use all of the types within this AWS provider, which is, for example, I think there's one for DynamoDB table. I don't remember exactly how it's.
Yeah.
And I can say, oh, let's create a DynamoDB table now.
Right.
And when we compile this to AWS, this will compile into a DynamoDB table clause inside the Terraform configuration, and it will work.
Right.
And we're trying to figure out the right way for you to tell the system how to behave locally in those
for
cases.
the simulator. Yeah.
That's going to be a really interesting exercise.
Yeah, it's also a kind of a point where we disagree on the actual interface, right? So it's in a week or so we're going to talk about this.
I'm seeding the conversation. Okay. So I guess we're done for now. I mean, we can go on and implement remove tasks, delete tasks.
We don't need that.
It's okay. I mean, we have the demo. We have the example.
Yeah.
I think we talked a lot about resources. We talked a lot about in-flights.
Yeah.
Counters. It was an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Can I ask you one last question? What's the next thing that you can't say JSI anymore. What's the next thing that you're...
say JSI?
No, that you're excited.
I'm still excited about JSI.
I know.
I haven't played with it yet.
Okay.
I feel like I really do need...
The next thing you're super excited about is JSI.
Is JSI, is bring DynamoDB. I want to write a program that uses DynamoDB with Wing. And figure out the console, the local experience and the local interface.
Got it.
I feel like that's like a very substantial part of like
Interesting.
the foundation of what we're building, and I'm excited because it's coming up.
It's coming up soon. Very interesting. So thank you very much for joining. It was fun. And
You guys are
passed out. Like this. So we have, and thank you, Chris and Mark the Christian, and Mark the DJ, and the rest of the team and the team here, and you should say the name, Shah. What's the name?
Video Power.
Video Power. Thank you, and Dana and Shah, Sabo, and everyone. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.